Roll call.
Jeff Renahan, First Ward.
Bill Carlos, Second Ward.
Joe Conti, Third Ward.
Joseph Lepore, Fifth Ward.
Ann Schurshin, Sixth Ward.
Felicia Salvatore, Town Clerk.
Jim Nelson, Attorney for the town.
John Baisley, Town Supervisor. I'd like to welcome everybody. And tonight we have 3 public hearings to start our agenda, and then we have a rather small agenda after that. I'd like to make a motion to open public hearing number 1, Town Code Amendment Zoning Map 84 to 92 Creek Road.
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there anybody here to discuss the zoning map change to code amendment for 84 and 92 Creek Road? Gentlemen?
We are here. My name is Dan Kohler. I am the engineer for the applicant, and to my left is Michael Berta. He is the architect for the project sponsor. What we have is a 5.18 acre parcel. It's located on the east side of Creek Road, directly across from the Stewart Shop. Currently, it's in the Neighborhood Business Zoning District, and we've made a request to change the zone to RM, which is consistent with the adjacent parcels, particularly to the north of the site. Proposal calls for construction of a 10,600 square foot building that will provide 31 one-bedroom apartments for rent. We've worked diligently with the planning board to date to come up with the layout that we have provided as of right now. And the planning board has granted, as the lead agency for the project, a negative declaration of seeker and prepared a positive referral back to this town board for consideration of the rezone. Some of the other details of the project are a single entrance from Creek Road. We have 66 parking spaces proposed in the 2 different lots over here. 2 stormwater management practices. Water and sewer connections to existing infrastructure along Creek Road. Site lighting, landscaping, to provide some screening to both neighbors to the north and also to the south. I'm going to turn it over to Michael Berta for some information on the building.
Thanks, Dan. What we have is 31 one-bedroom garden-style apartments. The building has been laid out. You're going to have, they're all exterior entrance apartments. Materials that we're going to use will be natural, a combination of natural wood and synthetic products for maintenance. Color scheme will be earth tone colors. Going to kind of blend into the area. Some of the other features of the building will, each one will have exterior terraces. First floor units will all be handicap accessible and adaptable. The property itself will be more upscale. We're looking for single families or single couples, startups, single business people. We're not really looking for college students, so it's a little bit more upscale. Again, the way the building's been laid out is everyone has, the utilities will all be separate. They'll be all nice little individual units.
Anything else?
Not much more to add.
I just wanted to mention that I did receive a letter that
Okay.
I gave all you guys, and I'm going to put that into the record from a neighbor, Paul Sala.
Okay.
In that letter, he says he's concerned that this is too close to heavy industrial.
He wants to make sure the residents aren't going to complain about his business operations.
And back to
In a pre-existing heavy industrial site.
Which
How
is,
far away from it are you?
I won't say it's a long distance, but it's not that close.
He's saying the site is at 46. I see that you're at 84 to 92.
Right.
The only reason I'm asking the question is this was sent to the board, and I wanted to make
Yeah.
sure
Well,
you get a chance to answer it.
Where the property is located is right now next door. Immediately next door, you have a house that's in between our property. The driveway's in between our property and the strip mall that's there. To the north or west, you have a number of single-family residences. Across the street, you have the Stewarts. You have a garage, I believe, also across, and then on the other side of Stewart, you have more residences. So it's already a heavily residential area as well. So I don't see, with the screening that we're providing
So
and
you
his
don't
business
see an in-
operation, I
You do
don't,
not see a negative impact to the people
honestly, I don't. I mean,
in your complex?
His business operation will be mostly during the day, where most of the residents of this complex will be out at work. During the weekend, he may operate on Saturday, but I'm sure he doesn't operate on a Sunday. So I don't really see a big operation.
You mind if you turn the drawings around, because according to the Dutchess County parcel, I noticed that he has cars lined up all the way down to your property there, right?
Yeah, but if you look, I mean, his property is down, part of it's down.
Correct.
The elevation change, it's almost, what is it, 60 feet?
That's down in the valley.
Yeah.
Yeah, it goes down pretty good.
Yeah, we have, I would say, it's probably a 50 or 60-foot elevation change down to his property. So, I mean, unless they want to stand there and look straight down, I mean,
So-
they're going to look right over it.
Okay, but from a reasonable perspective, the people that are going to live in your units are not going to be bothered by the sound, especially if it's 60 feet below where they're living, and X number of feet back from the building in addition.
Yeah, I don't see that as being a problem either. I was just looking at the aerial on my phone, and a lot of those cars that are down there probably haven't been moved in quite a long time.
You remember I was the one, when you had that parcel involved, that wanted you to take it so you could drag those cars out of there?
Yes.
Okay, I
Sorry,
think
that
you've
was a little bit
answered.
before my time. here.
Yeah, you answered what my question was. I wanted to make sure that the question was raised in front of the public. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So you had said that it's all one-bedroom apartments, there's not any two bedrooms in it? Because it just seems as if there always seems to be a mix. Why are you just going with one bedroom?
The density of the property is what's driving that. And the density unit is actually a bedroom. So what we've done is we are allowed 31 density units. So we spoke with our client about it, and he prefers to have young professional type of tenants at the complex.
And quite honestly, the layout of the units are oversized. So they're good size, bedrooms and good size units.
Okay.
So talk about a little bit about what are you going to do subdividing the property and then the junkyard. What are you going to do? Because I don't see anything there. As far as you put a wall, what do you? I know it's pretty steep, but what's landscape is going to be look like?
Well, what we have along the bottom corner is a mixture of cedars and white pines. So we're going to have some evergreen screening there for the most part. Below the parking lot and the building over in this general area, we have a stormwater management feature that's going to have shrubs and other things in there. And then behind here, where we have a bit of this clearing, we're actually working with the town's consulting engineer to try to limit some of that so that we maintain more of this as vegetation. So what you're seeing here would be the worst case scenario for clearing. We're hoping to be able to pull some of that line back and then maintain existing vegetation almost from where I have the pointer down towards through here. The cars that are in question are somewhere down and around here.
The other thing too, just to keep in mind, is that there are no windows that are facing, or there's only one or two units that have any windows that face that direction. All the other windows face either the front or the back.
I guess, and not speaking for Mr. Councilman Carlos, is that, this is a heavy industrial area. Now you put in residential, it's just, quality of life, it's an issue. So we just make sure that you guys, before you start building, realize what you get into. So we don't want to get into a situation years to come that residents going to come and say, hey, there's so much noise in the back there, smashing cars, so on and so forth. So, be
What is
more
zoned
productive
for?
than.
Right, I understand what it's zoned for, and I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's okay.
What it's zoned for now allows basically what was constructed as the Golf Plaza, which just sits empty right now.
Yeah.
And we know that the town has a need for apartments, and And we thought we were doing the right thing, and
Yeah, I'm not questioning it. I'm just saying the quality of life issue, maybe we need to look at and to do a better job.
The owner, I believe, has already gone through, because he spent a lot of time on what he wanted to do with this piece. He's owned it for a while now.
Yep.
And he's gone kind of back and forth on the best use of it for himself. And this is what I'm assuming, and unfortunately with him not being here tonight, he can't speak, but I know he's done a lot of research on the best use for the property.
Okay. Well,
You have
thank
some
you.
public grounds around there as well? Area for public grounds?
The idea was to have some potential passive recreation that runs through some of the wooded areas in the backside here.
So the whole triangle is yours, including the dark green?
Yes,
And
that's
that's all
correct.
wooded?
The dark green is where we're not disturbing.
Okay.
So that
And you wanna
would
increase
remain
that-
existing
You
vegetation.
want to increase that more forward toward the building?
Yes, I'm
So
working on
In
that.
addition to the distance and the elevation drop, it'll be wooded area.
Yes, that's correct.
That's fine with me.
And to answer your recreation area, behind the building, that'll be all lawned area.
Okay.
Between the back of the building and where you see the row of trees, that'll all be a lawned area.
This area right here.
Looking for barbecuing
Yeah.
and stuff like that?
That'll be all there. That's what that's planned for.
And what's the height?
The building height?
Yes.
It's about 45 feet. The building is, the height of it is within the max restriction.
Yep. Enough access, obviously, for fire apparatus and all that stuff.
Absolutely. It's got three sides. The one side, all the way down at this end, it gets a little, the grade is a little, I won't say steep, but it's a little graded there. But you can get we can get trucks around on all three sides.
Okay, good.
As part of our site plan, we have movements to two of the fire trucks for the Fairview Fire Department, and they've written off on this as well.
Okay, great.
And the other thing too, just the building will be sprinkled.
Apartments also?
Well, everything. The entire building will be 100%, it'll be a 13D or 13R sprinkler system.
Oh, where do you get the water from?
Well, it's town water right now. Public water, I believe, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully the line can handle it, but it's.
That's why I'm questioning.
We'll have to figure that one out.
Okay. all
Yeah,
right.
that's one of the next steps is to get flow tests.
Shouldn't be much.
No? That's it, thank
Water
you.
Department's taking a look at the project, and they haven't raised any issues with any pressure or capacity issues up there, so.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys did discuss the letter we got from Mr. Sauer.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. I have no questions, but you guys are good. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Is there anybody else that would like to discuss this public hearing? Sir, come on up.
My name is Louis Sala. I border the south side of this project, the whole south side. For one thing, this building is three stories. That's ridiculous. for
Sir,
this
do you wanna
area.
speak into the
There's no
mic?
3 stories in this whole
Sal,
area.
could you speak into the mic, please, sir? I
And-
can't pick you up.
Pardon?
Can't pick you up on the mic. Could you speak into the microphone, please?
Either have a seat or they can give you that mic.
We'll give them this one here.
And, I don't know why this building, there's too much traffic on this road right now with the college. I mean, this road, I can't even cross this road during the day. They go 50, 60 miles an hour down this road. The college is down to 25, but our section is 30. They're doing 50. But the thing of it is, I tried to do this 7 years ago. The town refused me, said it was going to cause too much traffic on the road. What is the difference now? They doubled the parking in the college, and now it's going to be all right? And they got the Golf Plaza, which isn't open yet, that's going to put another 200 cars on this road. With that and this project? I mean, something's seriously wrong here. I don't understand this whole project. I don't understand this at all. I mean, I live right next door. They're not even talking about putting a fence up. Once this Golf Plaza opens up, these people are going to be crossing my property to get to Golf Plaza. There's no way they're going to walk out to the street and down. I live right in the middle. I can't get out of my driveway now with this traffic. Did you ever go up there? You can't move on that road when the kids are coming in and out of that college. Somebody's got to think about this. It's 3 stories. It's too many cars. You know what I mean? They're not even, it shouldn't be permitted. There's too many cars. Did they ever do a count of the cars on that road?
Have you guys had a chance to meet together with this resident, or?
I have in the past, yes.
There's a traffic count for the road?
Yes, there is. We had a
Is it in
traffic
your
study done by
documentation?
by a professional firm that specializes in that.
And it's in your documentation submitted?
It is. The planning board's already had a chance to review that and accept it.
And did the planning board have any question?
No.
Okay.
Is there something you think you can do to help him with his plight? He's saying he's fearful that residents are gonna walk through his property. Do you think maybe a fence would be something that you could work with this?
It's possible. I mean, one of the things we have is we have a swale that starts in this corner of the building and then runs down all the way through the property. And then we are lining that with staggered white pines and cedars and a mixture of those types of things. So it's going to be not the easiest thing for somebody just to foot traffic across. One of the things we've also done is we have a sidewalk system in the front here, and that goes all the way to Creek Road, and we've placed a new proposed sidewalk along Creek Road as well. So normal pedestrian foot traffic is going to use the easiest paths, which are going to be the cleared ones like a sidewalk. I had a conversation with our client about a fence, and don't want to sound like he was on the fence about putting a fence. I mean, if it helps out with quelling some of the concerns that Mr. Sala has, I will present it to my client again and be happy to put it on there myself. But I do need his authorization to do that.
Let's be clear. Mr. Sally, you did want to do a project similar to this quite some time ago. I remember that.
7 years
There
ago.
was a lot of issues with the traffic at the time because of that roundabout that's now been completed, wasn't done. That was a study that took quite a bit of time, I know. But you also had, we had a strip club over there that was an eyesore, and that was one of the other reasons we didn't want to add more housing with that there. Once that went away, that opened up a lot of different ventures, and this is being one of them. But if Mr. Sala wants a fence over there, he is the neighbor there. The planning board makes that recommendation, but you're asking for a rezone. So if you want a rezone, then I think it's only fair that you put a fence up that's adequate. Okay, so that would be contingent upon us approving this, that he gets a decent-sized fence. I don't think that's unrealistic since he's the only neighbor over on that side. So you're asking for something, give something back to the neighbor that's been there, that's going to have the biggest impact.
And Mr. Seller, were you aware of the sidewalks?
I'll offer that
Think
up
would
right
help
now.
you, or-
Not that it makes it, I've been on that property for 77 years.
God love you.
You know what I mean? But that's not the point. I mean, they doubled the parking, they put up apartments on Pendle Road. That's more traffic. Then they doubled or tripled the parking in the college. I mean, that's a lot of cars. I mean, you're just gonna add more cars. You're talking once that Golf Plaza opens up, you got 70 cars in there, and then you're gonna have, what do you got here? Another 100 cars over here? You're talking almost 200 more cars on that road. And that's more people there. It should put, if it's commercial property, should be something put there, commercial, so they can serve the people that's already traveling that road, not add more cars to the road. Because they wouldn't let me do it 7 years ago.
And I just explained why. There were some circumstances that were beyond your control at the time. You had the strip club there. We did not feel comfortable putting residents next to a strip club. We felt it wouldn't be the best fit for that at that time. Also, the Smith Street circle was not there, traffic circle. That's alleviating some traffic right there. We do need more housing in the town. Listen, if that strip club wasn't there and the housing at Smith Street was fine, your project would have been a go at that time. But there were too many issues at that time. Things have changed. I'm sorry, but it has changed. Smith Street has been developed now, and the strip club is not there anymore.
Well, yeah, I know, that's another whole ball of wax. I mean, I don't even want to start with that. I don't even know why that went through. You know what I mean? Because I know you didn't want it there.
I couldn't tell you.
But a lot of things happened there that shouldn't have happened there too. I mean, they took some of my property, they pulled pins out and stuff of my property, and the project's not even finished yet. And back of that building is all garbage back there and everything. That's my problem.
Our planning department has been in contact with him to try to get that cleaned up and get that site plan.
But we're going on 3 or 4 years here.
I hear you. I was just in planning yesterday. I talked to Mr. Holman, and he's gonna make some calls. We're trying.
You know, they've disturbed my property, which they have to put stuff back. It's not even put back yet.
We're trying to get that rectified, sir. We are.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Thanks for your words.
Thank you. Doreen?
It'd be nice if somebody had given up the chair. First of all, you really have to laugh about the traffic. You know, traffic is never a problem. One of the few things that Councilman Krakauer and I ever agreed on was the fact that, have you ever seen a traffic study done by anybody in the town that says, oh yeah, traffic is going to be a problem? No, it's not. So Councilman Carlos, when you try to make it sound like, oh, the planning board looked at the traffic count numbers, oh, like that really means something? And you know, you guys have had differences with the planning board anyway. Look at the Dutton project. They approved it and you guys didn't. So, you know, you shouldn't make it sound like because the planning board looked at the traffic numbers that it's not a problem. So, excuse me, and Councilman Sifon, you said we need housing. Well, we do need apartments here. This is upscale. Everything that you hear is upscale. What's the price of these apartments? You know, I mean, people need affordable housing. And I know affordable housing has some bad connotations to some people. But, you know, yeah, you need housing, but it seems like everything that comes in is upscale housing. What about, you know, regular people? And the fact that, you know, the planning board or you know, like that Mr. Sala can't even have, you know, a fence that may, I guess this is Mr. Page's project, that, oh, maybe he really didn't like a fence. I mean, come on. You know, when somebody's lived there all these years and the planning board didn't even take that into consideration. So I am glad, Mike, that you mentioned the, you know, the fact that you guys need to rezone it and, you know, that they need to work with the neighbors. But I mean, you know, come on. It's like, you know, like I said, traffic's never a problem. There's never a problem with anything. And again, you know, what is the rent on these apartments? Does anybody know?
Market rate when they're done building them, I would assume. You gotta make money on them.
Yeah, I didn't ask that, but, you know, I know people have to make money. I just asked, you know, we keep hearing about affordable, you know, housing or that we need housing.
The location of the area's gotta be comparative to what's across the street in the Colonial Arms. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know.
you're not gonna get people to come pay extra when they go across the
I've
street.
never heard a number.
Do you guys have a number what you're looking at?
I don't want to speak for him, but, you know, I know the number's been kicked somewhere between either 1,400 and 1,700 a month.
Yeah, for a one-bedroom apartment. So Mike, you know, I don't know what your salary is. I don't know what you know, the rest of the boards, but you need to keep in mind also your constituents. You know, how many people can afford to pay $1,700, you know, for a one-bedroom apartment? I mean, maybe some people can, but if you're looking out for the best interests of the residents of the town, you need to take that into consideration too. But I mean, but the fact about the traffic, it's like any place you go around here anymore, there's traffic, but every time a project comes before the planning board, never a traffic problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Doreen. Anybody else like to discuss this public hearing? No? If not, do we have a motion to close the public hearing?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Motion passes 7-0. Jeff?
Being enacted that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie held duly noticed public hearing on October 18th, 2017 and November 1st, 2017 at 7 p.m. at Town of Poughkeepsie, Town Hall, 1 Over Rock Road, Poughkeepsie, New York, to amend the town code, which amendment proposes to change the zone and designation of 84 to 92 Creek Road, Poughkeepsie, New York, tax parcel number 616202 735705, as outlined in the attached amendment, from Business Neighborhood BN District to Resident Multifamily RM District, and be it further enacted that the planning board, as a designated lead agency, issued a negative declaration in regards to the project on June 15, 2017, and be it further enacted that a written recommendation dated October 6, 2017 was received from the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development, and that said recommendation stated that the adoption of the herein zoning amendment is a matter of local concern with comments, and be it further enacted that on June 15, 2017, the Town Planning Board issued a recommendation to approve the proposed project, and be it further enacted that the town clerk notified the clerks of the surrounding municipalities of the public hearing pursuant to GML 239NN, and be it further enacted the legal notice of public hearing was posted on October 3rd, 2017, and published in the Poughkeepsie Journal on October 15, 2017, and be it further enacted, said local law shall take effective immediately upon filing with the Secretary of State. So moved.
Second?
We have a motion second. Any questions?
I'd like to amend it to include appropriate privacy fence with screening, be contingent upon the rezoning. I don't know what that appropriate height would be. I'm guessing a 6-foot fence is the highest that our zoning will allow. Is Mr. Nelson, do you incline 6 foot or?
I'm trying to recall, Mr. Wilson?
Is he over there?
6 feet, the max for a fence in the town? I can go look it up if you
8
want.
foot's the max.
8 foot's the max?
Yeah.
It's 8 foot? Okay.
And most of them are 6, but 8 foot's the
We
max.
allow up to 8 feet,
Okay.
except where the fence is in the front yard, which is in this zone is what, the first 20 feet?
Yes.
Where it can be no higher than 3.5 feet.
Okay, but with appropriate screening, maybe some type of green, pine trees or something, something appropriate, work with Mr. Sala on that, and make sure he's happy with that.
If I may ask, are you looking more for a fence to stop people from going onto Mr. Sala's yard, or?
Talk on the microphone.
I would tell you.
My fault. Are you looking more for a fence to keep traffic out, or
No.
with the screening?
Screening it is, I would tell you, to speak with Mr. Sala.
Okay.
And it's contingent upon Mr. Sala being happy with what you propose.
Doesn't have to be a fence, it could be some trees, evergreens that.
I would say he wants a fence, all right? Talk to Mr. Sala, all right?
I think you have to be very definitive what you put in here. I think a 6-foot privacy
Fencing,
fence.
combination fencing and greenery, how's that?
Okay.
Mr. Sala, you okay with that?
I'll second Mike's amendment on that.
And when you're done with that, get in touch with Mr. Wilson to make sure we're on board with it, all right? Fair enough?
A motion second on Mike's amendment?
I second
I
it.
have a question on it.
On the amendment?
If we pass on the amendment and then on the normal one, if we do it now, what penalty there is if there's no compliance?
Well, you have to comply.
Or what?
Don't get a
Change the
CO.
zoning?
CO.
He's got to have it on his site plan, so otherwise he won't be able to build it.
We still have to complete the planning board process as well,
Okay.
so it'll be part of that
All right,
process.
that answers the question, thank you.
The motion second on Mike's amendment?
Yep.
Yeah, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Pass 7-0. Motion on the
Yeah, man.
public hearing?
I'll second this.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0 both times. You know, come to public hearing number 2.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Which is the budget. Can I make a motion to open public hearing number 2?
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Lepore? Charlie coming up? right?
Yeah. Yeah, we met with some department heads the other day. I mean, I think we got a great budget. Everybody worked together. I think Charlie has done a great job, so I'll let him speak more about the budget.
Mr. Hamburger?
Okay, like Councilman Lepore said, we met with some department heads, and there was some minor changes, I guess. The board, or the finance committee, decided to give the supervisor a 3% raise, which he didn't have in there. So that went, and then we got a letter from the county on the workers' comp. They told me it was a 5% increase, and went up 8%. So all in all, it was maybe an $8,000 difference. It's not going to have an effect on the taxes. We just moved some expenses around. I lowered medical expenses that we have for we reimbursed for the FSA, HRA, and the fees for Rose and Kiernan. So we just moved some money around in the same fund, so it has no effect on taxes. Everything's going to remain the same. It was minimal change, so there was no reason for an increase or, you know. So we're pretty much set, like I said, so that's about it. I mean,
I'd like to thank the committee. We really worked hard for this budget and squeezed everything we could. And like I said, I'm very proud to say that Mr. Supervisor, this budget's ready to go and for a vote. And I want to thank Charlie for really working for us and working with us and the committee. So,
Okay. Anybody else got anything to discuss on the budget?
Could you just break down, for the people at home that may not understand the budget process, what your budget entails as far as that we can't control fire taxes and we can't control school taxes, but where our budget is in line with other towns that large as our size?
Mike, as far as other towns, our budget numbers are a little higher. We can't be compared to other towns because we have 100% water, we have a police department, we have 3 colleges. We're more comparable to cities. If you compare the town, the way it's built out, it's more compared to a city. We are more in line with the city budgets. We are, Charlie, you remember the numbers? I think the school district is like 60% of the budget. And the
yeah, and
town,
most, on all, going through the 4 school districts, they're all 60 to 64%. The town tax is 12.1 to 13.1 in there on the overall tax bill. So we're about 12.5% of total tax. We took school tax, town tax, county tax,
Fire district.
and the fire.
districts. Fire districts and the school districts are the 2 highest ones. The town falls in 3rd place. For a home of $300,000, the town is about $1,700. The county, I think, is about $1,000. The fire district's about fire district's $1,700. We're like $1,200 or $1,300. And the school districts range around $6,000 for some of them.
Yeah.
That's just off the top of my head. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but that's the way it breaks down. We are above the county, but we're below the fire district now, and we're way below the school districts as far as the percent of how it goes. We're at a 0.4% increase, which is basically average of a $300,000 house, $9 a year. Give or take, because of the valuation, some of the houses have gone up, some of the houses have stayed flat, so it may fluctuate from house to house, but that's basically how it stands as far as the budget goes.
yeah.
And on top of that, our fund balance has increased.
Yep.
Our debt has decreased a little bit, so we're in good, shape financially.
And we've been below the tax cap for the last 3 years. We have a balance in the tax cap of approximately $600,000. So we can, we've been sitting in good shape. Like Supervisor said, we went up 0.4%, and we could have went up 1.83% was the tax cap this year. So we've been under the tax cap, like I said, and with that, the fund balance has been growing, so.
And by using that extra balance, that if you don't use the money this year for the tax cap, going forward to next year, you don't get all that money back. You lose part of that. So it's not like that's a savings account going forward. That $600,000 number next year will be less.
Yep.
And our financial stress factor, as we stated before, last year was a 32, I think is to 17 now, and they're anticipating next year being a 5, which we're hoping that we can even go lower than that.
Right, the lower the number, the better.
Yeah.
Well, I know that. I was hoping the people at home can
Well, yeah,
understand it
that's
better,
one,
so.
that's one, yeah. So.
Hope they're watching, so. Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you, Charlie. Thank you,
Yeah,
Jeff.
thanks for all your work on that, Charlie, I appreciate it.
Do you have a motion to close that public hearing?
Anybody else want to speak from the public?
Sorry, somebody else?
I think we already asked.
Oh, I don't know. Guess not.
Anybody else? If not, motion to close public hearing?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Whereas the town board of the town of
Passes
Poughkeepsie,
7-0. Go ahead.
whereas the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie adopted its preliminary budget for the year 2018 on October 18, 2017, and whereas the legal notice of a public hearing was posted on October 20th, 2017, and published in the Poughkeepsie Journal on October 25th, 2017, And whereas a public hearing was held on November 1st, 2017 at 7 p.m. at the Town Hall, Town of Poughkeepsie, 1 over Rocker Road, Poughkeepsie, now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby close the public hearing in regard to the adoption of the preliminary budget. As amended, adopts the budget modifications to the preliminary budget presented by the Controller, and does adopt the preliminary budget as so modified as the town's 2018 budget. So moved.
Second?
A motion second, any questions on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Brings us to public hearing number 3, the Mountain Town Code, Chapter 195, traffic fines. Motion open public hearing number 3.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0. Is there anybody here to discuss the Town Code, Chapter 195, traffic fines? Going once, going twice. If not, we have a motion to close public hearing number 3.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Conti.
Okay, being enacted that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie pursuant to a public hearing held on the first day of November 2017 at 7 p.m. at the Town Hall, Town of Poughkeepsie, 1 over Rocker Road, Poughkeepsie, New York, does hereby adopt a local law annexed as Exhibits A and B, amending Town of Poughkeepsie Town Code, Chapter 195-35, regarding fines for certain traffic infractions, and adding Town Code, Chapter 195-35A, a schedule of late penalties to be imposed upon the failure of a person or owner of a motor vehicle to appear, answer a summons or appearance ticket, or timely pay a fine for the traffic infractions listed in the Town Code, Section 195-35B and C. And be it further enacted that the Town Board does hereby waive a verbatim reading of the local law at Exhibits A and B on which the underscored language is to be added, and does direct that said amendments be spread across the record as if they in fact had been read verbatim. And be it further enacted that the legal notice of public hearing was posted on October 20th, 2017, and published in the Poughkeepsie Journal on October 25th, 2017. And be it further enacted that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does determine this Type 2 action requiring this a Type 2 action requiring no environmental review. And be it further enacted that said local law shall become effective immediately upon filing with the Secretary of State. So moved.
Second?
The motion is second. Any questions on this?
This is the change that when we did the conversation with the people for the computerization of the park.
Correct.
These are the changes that they requested we have in the law to
Yep.
facilitate that.
Yep.
Yeah, I have a question about Part B under violations, that we have the snow ordinance is punished at $100. That seems a little bit steep for me. I would think this would be the bulk of our parking tickets too. That people who don't, I mean, it actually started, today's November 1st, that you can't park.
Yeah, that
on
hasn't
the-
changed though, and that's been the fine for years.
Yeah, well, all the fines were $100 for years. Everything was $100. So why is this one still $100? I think it fit better in with the $50 fines. So was there a reason why this one was kept at $100? And then, just for the public's knowledge, the rest of them, the no standing, restricted parking, temporary parking, no parking anytime, limit time, that's when you run out of time, are $35. So why did we have snow ordinance still at 100?
I don't know what the reason behind that was.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know it can be a
I
big
I know
issue.
the reason behind the handicap one was.
Oh, yeah, no, the handicap one is correct. And that's the way it is with most communities. So I was just wondering, Jim, is there a reason why we kept snow ordinance at 100?
To be candid with you, what I looked at were the state cap limits to see if any of the fines were over that.
Yeah.
You know, from a legal perspective,
Right.
but I didn't do a qualitative review of what the fines were.
Okay, so, and this is the recommendation that came down from that company?
From the company.
Essentially, the change, the handicap had, I think, slipped above the state cap, and that was really the only one that legally needed to be adjusted. So I changed that.
Yeah, I think the only one that
From what
had any
they-
discussion with it besides the company was, Sergeant Bruschetti was the only one that had any discussion input on what these were.
Yeah, but I think it's important with the snow ordinance anyway. Like you said, to keep the streets clear, so when they're going to plow and stuff like that, make it easier for the highway department.
I think what they may have been looking at, and I'm just my guesstimate, is that they're homeowners that live here, where the other ones may disappear and it may be harder to get, because when they don't pay, the fine grows quickly, correct, Jim? Yeah. So that might have been what they were looking at.
But as also saying, this one's gonna impact our homeowners more, because there's the people who live there who may or may not have parking. And then they have to find other accommodations after November 1st.
I know I've paid one of those.
Do we have a big issue with parking and getting away with the plows? No, you just nod your head.
I know you can see it when, you see the loop around the cars. We have an idea how many we've written, and I know you seemed like you did a little homework on it, did you find anything about how many of these tickets get written?
No, well, initially they start by giving warnings to people too. It's just, this is a real problem in the Arlington area because we have apartments above houses and some of them don't have off-street parking. So it becomes real cumbersome for them. And if they get walloped with $100 each time that they,
Well, is this college
Sure, probably only
housing,
happens-
or is this regular family?
these are regular people. And this is also the low-income housing we've been talking about, the affordable housing. These are regular residents who live there.
It's been 100, we haven't raised it, so,
No, they haven't raised it, but it also appears people haven't been paying them either.
but we have a company that's gonna go after them now.
That's right. That's right.
So let's just leave it as is and see where we go.
And we can address with
But
Melons.
we can always
see how
look at
many
it,
are.
you
Can
know,
we
after we.
adjust it to 50 to make it in line with the other? Because I'm not saying make it 35.
Yeah,
I worry about
I'd worry about the parking in the Fairview section with,
I think 100 makes them stay off the
100
road.
makes them
Yep,
stay
I think
off, 50
deters it.
bucks.
Yeah, I think that strong number is sort of,
What about students?
I don't think it'll happen twice.
It's about students.
Because we do give warnings first, I mean.
Yeah, no,
they'll
we-
get the
we do
tickets. They
give
them
warnings
1 or 2
first.
warnings, and they finally get a ticket.
And the landlords are supposed to find parking places for them.
Yeah, or when you're renting a house, you should find out where you have to park, whether it's summer, winter, or fall.
Well, these people aren't renting houses. These people are renting rooms and apartments in houses.
Yeah, but they
They
should,
have retail on the bottom.
yeah, they should know where they're gonna park. I mean, that is a priority. I have a few spots in the Hamburg has the same thing. There is no
Yeah.
parking, but they find locations to park.
Okay.
Did you ever any residents reach out to you about it, Ann, or?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. They've had the tickets before, and that's what they're.
Yes, they've had tickets
Yeah.
before, but we've been able to resolve some of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
The motion on this?
Motion.
Is there a second?
It was moved,
I second
I
that.
think.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. That brings us to the end of our public hearings. And now to the regular agenda items, which aren't that long. Number 4 is a New York State grant for purchase of 15 modems, which will help with the upgrade to the police department. Number 5 is a Troy and Banks cable audit contract, which is the same as our contract we have for streetlights, the same setup. 6 is Town Code Amendment 105, fees related to reapprovals of commercial solar public utility projects. Set a date for public hearing. Number 7, set a date for public hearing for Chapter 177 subdivision lands, parks, and playgrounds. That's a cleanup. Number 8, certificates of attendance of Carl Whitehead and Peter Finelli from the planning board. Number 9 is town clerk, town board minutes. That's it. Make a motion to open the floor for public comment.
Second.
Any agenda item? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, Doreen.
Question on agenda item 6 about the solar energy project. So it looks like when there's reapproval, I have a question about the fees. So it talks about only 10% of the original fee. So like if something expired, instead of, it seemed like there was maybe some issue about you didn't want to make people pay X amount of dollars if it had expired and they were reapplying. So this says that the fee would be 10% of the original fee plus $250 per planning board meeting. So I was wondering if that $250 even covers the expenses for the planning board meeting, such as, the planning board members get stipends, and there's 7 of them. If all of them show up, does that $250 even cover the planning board member stipends? And then I don't know about other employees that might have to work that night or anything. So I just wondered if the $250 sounded low per planning board meeting, and if you want to take that into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Doreen. Anybody else like to discuss any item on the agenda? If not, give a motion. Neil? You can put your hand up.
Yeah, the planning board meeting fee is something that we added a few years ago, specifically to make sure that we've got our fees covered. I think it's important to remember that we're collecting this for every single applicant that appears on an agenda. It's rare that we only have one application. So if we have 6 applicants, it's 6 times $250. So I think the short answer is yes, we're covering our costs, particularly the stipend that we pay our planning board members, as well as the staff costs for the evening, given the volume of applications that we typically hear at any meeting.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? We have a motion to resume the rules.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved, Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie is hereby authorized the supervisor or his designee to execute all papers necessary and proper to effectuate the acceptance of New York State DCJS Legislative Grant Award in the amount of $20,000, which funds will be used by the Town of Poughkeepsie Police Department to purchase 15 modems required to operate mobile data terminals, which is necessary technology to upgrade as they move forward with the new world system transition. So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? I just want to thank the chief for reaching out and getting this, because it was one of those things that you find as you're doing these big projects that a piece may not be meeting and the modems were outdated and they weren't blending, and he reached out and he found this money, which is, again, is another savings. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Resolution number 5, whereas the town board, Town of Poughkeepsie, after considering its procurement policy and the experience of other municipalities contracted by Resolution 1015-1 of 2014 with Troy Banks, Inc., to conduct an audit for the town street light systems, which contract provided that audits or other service will require town board authorization, in which the street light audit produced beneficial results for the town. Now therefore be resolved, after considering the market for audit service, the supervisor is authorized to execute a cable service audit contract with Troy and Banks, Inc., in substantially the same form as the annex street light audit. Contract with execution of such contract without further procurement being in the best interest of the town. And be further resolved that the town board does hereby determine that this is a type 2 action requiring no environmental review. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Any questions on this one?
Yeah, cable service audit, what are they auditing?
When they did the streetlights, they checked the streetlights to see if they're in the town. They go through that phase, and they go through the contracts and make sure we get money for certain things they buy, whether it's home shopping channel, different things. They're making sure we're getting our fair share of what it is.
So they're going to survey the cable companies that give service to our residents,
Correct.
and they're going to find out whether or not we're getting our
We're
share
getting our share.
from the things that are sold over the cable vision.
Sold, or if, with the 3 different zip codes we have, whether some of our cable customers could be from other towns in the wrong spot, that the city of Poughkeepsie or LaGrange or somebody with the same zip code could be in a different area. Doing the same-
Okay, so we have the numbers of what we're paid, obviously.
Yeah,
Okay? And they're going to be checking that.
yep.
And they're going to call the resident and ask them how much they're paying?
No, they do all this work through the cable companies.
Through the cable
Yep,
companies?
same as they did with the streetlight audit, they contacted Central Hudson, got the streetlight numbers where all the streetlights were, and other companies that we dealt with, that we looked at, some of them were getting like 50%, they get 25%, and some of the other companies were getting money going forward in other years. This company's just a one-time.
Okay, we're going to have a new contract with them. This
Yeah.
contract is just an example. This is not the contract.
No, they have a new contract they're sending in.
And should we see that contract before we vote on this resolution?
No, because it's actually the same contract, but it's just got to change, the dates. Nothing's changed on the contracts, 25% of the sale amount. Nothing's changed.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Be it resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby set the 15th day of November, 2017 at 7 p.m. at the Town Hall, Town of Poughkeepsie, 1 Over Rocker Road, Poughkeepsie, New York, as and for the time, date, and place of a public hearing to consider amendments by local law to the Town Code, Chapter 105, entitled Fees, and be further resolved that the proposed amendment is attached hereto and incorporated herein, with the language to be added underscored and the language to be deleted stricken, and the town board does hereby waive a verbatim reading of said amendments and does direct said proposed amendments to be spread across the record as if it, in fact, had been read verbatim, and be further resolved that the aforesaid action is a type 2 action requiring no secret review, and be further resolved that said amendments, if adopted, take effect immediately upon filing with the Secretary of State. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Whereas the town board has received a communication from the Director of Municipal Development regarding the amendment by local law of Article 4, Section 177-24 of the Town Code. Whereas a copy of the proposed amendment with the language to be added underscored and the language to be deleted is attached hereto and incorporated herein, the town board does hereby waive a verbatim reading of said amendment and does direct that said amendment be spread across the record as if it, in fact, had been read verbatim. And whereas the amendment would modify the existing language in regard to parks and playgrounds, and whereas the action to amend the subdivision law is an unlisted action under the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, and whereas the amendment requires a public hearing, now therefore be it resolved that, 1, the town board hereby states that because only the town board can consider and adopt changes to the town code, that is the only involved agency, the town board hereby declares that it is the lead agency for purposes of coordinate the environmental review of this matter pursuant to Article 8 of the Environmental Conservation Law. Number 2, the town board hereby sets a public hearing on the proposed amendment for December 6, 2017, 7 p.m., or as soon after as the matter may come to be heard. The Town Hall, 1 Over Rock Road, Poughkeepsie, New York. And 3, the town board directs the town clerk to notify the clerks of the surrounding municipalities of the public hearing pursuant to GML 239 NN. So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Number 8, be resolved that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby accept the certificate of attendance for Carl H. Whitehead from Dutchess County Planning Federation for the course entitled Agricultural Districts, Balancing Farmers' Needs and Local Concerns, a copy of which is attached. So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions on that one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
8B.
Yeah.
There you go.
I got it, I just gotta get it. B. You don't have it either.
Right here, Peter Finelli.
Oh, okay. Resolution 8B of 2017. Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby accept the certificate of attendance for Peter Finelli from the Dutchess County Planning Federation for the course entitled Form-Based Zoning, a copy of which is hereby attached. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion second. Any questions on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby accept the minutes for the following 2017 town board meetings to wit: August 9, 2017 regular town board meeting, August 23rd, 2017 committee of the whole regular town board meeting, September 6, 2017 regular town board meeting, September 20th, 2017 regular town board meeting. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion second. Any questions on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. We've come to the end of our meeting. We have a motion to suspend the rules for any comment.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Doreen?
Going in.
Regarding the $250 fee, when Mr. Wilson says that, there's normally multiple projects on the agenda and it's spread out, everybody pays. Just so you know, for example, this morning, there was a special planning board meeting with only one agenda item, and that was for McDonald Heights. So these things happen, I think, on a more often than one might think. And also, that planning board meeting was 8 o'clock this morning. I don't know how many people they expected could attend a meeting at 8 o'clock in the morning. So as far as, access to the public, I personally, I think an 8 o'clock, meeting during a, workday during the week is not in the best interest of the public. My other question, Jay, there used to be 2 intern positions open on the town website there, so has there been any?
They're both full.
Okay,
Still on
so,
there, yeah. We
so one
actually-
was a media intern, and what was the other one again?
The
I'm
other
sorry.
one is for software we have that we're doing work on all our pipes and lines and drainage ditches. They're both here this week. They're being trained with the new software that we got in, and the media intern should be in later on this week. I'll make sure if it's on there, it's off.
Okay, and they were at no cost to,
No cost.
so that was through the local colleges?
I think two of them are local colleges and two of them have actually graduated. They're
Okay.
just looking to fulfill their resume and get some stuff on the resume. The internship that's in the engineering department will be ongoing for a few years because it's to check in line and put the software in place for all the piping throughout the whole town and all the drainage ditches. So that'll be a long project. We're actually looking for a grant for that one to maybe get some of them paid.
But in the meantime, it's not at any taxpayer
No.
expense?
The only expense in the media ones would be I think it's $40 if they do actually come at night and tape a meeting.
Well, that would still be cheaper if right now you're having, like, I know my husband volunteered for years, and I know there's a volunteer back there now, Roger Connor, but if you have town employees do it, it's certainly going to cost more than $40 a night in comp time for them.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
definitely that's, you know, that's.
Yeah, we just
that's
thought it was
better.
extra training for them to get, because they may be doing some taping out in the field.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? If not, can I motion to resume the rules?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Before we go into that, Jeff, I got one comment. This week, we finally waited almost a year, and we got the next step for our SAM grant, which is Serena's office. She got us $250,000. It's for a leaf machine for highway, a bucket truck for highway, redoing the senior center and front door and the bathrooms. We're on the final leg. They told us if we mail this back, we should get a return rather soon so we could start and bid the projects. It's long waiting. We thought we were done, but this was the final paperwork, and I think it's sitting in Jim's hands just to finish up the final piece. But it's been long awaited. We kept telling the seniors it's coming, it's coming. It looks like this, winter season, we should be able to get that door finally done over there.
That's great.
That's all I had. It's all yours, Jeff.
Okay. Be resolved, the town board of the town does hereby adjourn to executive sessions and consider the following matters to wit: confidential communications between the attorney and his client, the town board based on the attorney-client privilege, and matters leading to the appointment, employment, dismissal, or removal of a particular person, firm, or corporation. So moved.
Second.
Motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion 7-0, town board goes in executive session at 7:58 PM.
Hey.
Like I said, 7:58. Don't look at the clock.
I never-